Okay, let's just jump right in. We're tackling a huge question today. How in the world do we get our kids ready for a future that's not just going to use AI, but will be pretty much run by it? And look, this goes way beyond just teaching them skills. We're talking about raising the next generation of actual leaders.
So when you think about AI and you think about your kid's future, what's that first little knot of anxiety that pops into your head? For most people, it really just boils down to one single fear.
And yup, 9 times out of 10, it's this one. That AI will take over all the jobs, making us obsolete. And that's a huge, legitimate concern for sure. It's what everyone is talking about. But what if we're worried about the wrong thing?
What if the real danger isn't about our jobs, but about our minds? What if the quieter, sneakier risk is that we just start outsourcing our thinking? Our reasoning, our problem solving, until we kind of forget how to do it for ourselves? That right there, that's the core idea we're going to dig into.
So this means we have to make a pretty fundamental shift in how we approach this whole thing. We've got to move our focus away from just protecting jobs and start protecting something way, way more valuable, our own judgment. This isn't an economic problem, it's about our intellectual independence.
And this slide really lays it out perfectly. Look at the left side. That's the old way of thinking, right? We're in a race with AI, trying to compete with technical skills that, let's be honest, might be obsolete tomorrow. But the path on the right, that's totally different. It's about governing AI. It's about having the ethical skills to be the architect of the system, not just another piece inside it.
And the way this happens is through something called cognitive offloading. Just think of your brain's ability to reason like it's a muscle. If you stop using it, if you let a machine do all the heavy lifting for you, the problem solving, the writing, the analysis, well, that muscle is going to get weaker. We risk becoming really good prompt operators instead of being deep thinkers.
And this quote, man, it just nails the problem. AI is unbelievably convenient, but if we're not careful, that very same ease, that convenience, can slowly but surely chip away at our actual competence. Because it's the struggle to figure something out that builds that intellectual muscle in the first place. So what's the answer? What do? Well, we have to lean into the skills that are uniquely, deeply human. And by the way, these aren't just soft skills. No, these are the strategic advantages that machines just can't copy. So let's break down what they actually are.
First up, something called epistemic discipline. Okay, in a world where an AI can spit out a perfectly written, totally convincing answer to any question, the most powerful skill you can have is the ability to just stop and ask, wait a minute, how do we know this is true? It's about being a detective, checking your sources, spotting bias, and demanding actual proof. That is an absolute superpower today.
Next, we've got to teach ethical architecture. And this isn't some abstract philosophy class anymore. This is a real operational skill. It's the ability to look under the hood of an AI system and ask, what values were actually programmed into this thing? Who does this benefit? And who could it possibly harm? It's about making sure that our tech is actually serving us. And finally, creative synthesis. Look, AI is fantastic at remixing and recombining stuff that already exists, but humans, we originate. We're the ones who can connect an idea from biology with a concept from art to define a brand new problem and imagine what comes next. That ability to set a totally new direction based on our own messy human experience, AI just can't do that. Okay, so we know what we need to be teaching, but the big question is, how do we actually do it? This is going to require a radical redesign of our whole educational playbook, because we have to move away from rewarding the very things that machines are already best at.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? If our tests are just asking kids to recall facts that a machine can pull up in a nanosecond, then we're literally testing for obsolescence. We are rewarding the wrong skills, and we are completely failing to prepare them for the real world.
So how do we actually check for these deeper skills? Well, it means we've got to move beyond the bubble sheets. Think about it. Oral defenses, where students have to stand up and actually own and defend their logic. Or project-based work that's messy and complicated, just like the real world. And a huge focus on the process, where showing how you got to the answer becomes just as important as the answer itself.
So all of this, it's leading to a really inspiring mission. We're not just trying to raise kids who can get by, who can survive in an automated world. No, we are trying to raise the next generation of AI governors.
The ultimate goal here is to cultivate a generation of what we could call moral technologists. These are people who, yeah, they've got the tech skills, absolutely. But way more importantly, they have the ethical clarity to ask the really hard questions. They're the ones who will make sure our technology serves human values and not the other way around.
So really, it all just boils down to this choice right here. We're all going to use AI. That's a given. The real question is, how? Are we going to use it as a tool to amplify our own intelligence, to challenge our own thinking, to expand our creativity? Or are we going to let it become a replacement for our own mental heavy lifting?
And that leaves us with this final, and I think critical question. The easy path is to train our kids for comfort, to let the machines do the hard thinking. But the essential path, that's to train them for inquiry, to cultivate a generation of curious, critical, and disciplined minds who can actually guide our future. The choice, really, is ours.